Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Means Business. Today we are going to focus on the important EU-Egypt summit which took place 5 days ago. As President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received Ursula von der Leyen and along with a number of EU leaders who came in specific to witness together the signing of many memoranda of understanding and witness also the elevation of cooperation between Egypt and European Union in various domains. And we are going to focus on the economic and investment side of the coin. Well, right after the short break we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned. Welcome back, and to shed more light on the important Egyptian EU summit which took place recently, and to shed more light on the strategic partnership which is now on the ground implemented between the EU and Egypt. We are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio my dear guest, Dr. Mohamed, Roshdy, Professor of Economics and our economic expert. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you, and good evening to you and our audience, and Ramadan Kareem.
Happy Ramadan to you, sir, and of course to all our dear viewers. And we are going to start immediately with the economic side of the coin, as we are going to speak in detail about the 7.4 billion financial and investment package for Egypt, which was agreed upon on Okay, it seems that we do have some technical difficulties, so we are going to return back right after the short break. Welcome back, and I'm apologizing again for the technical difficulties we have. Let me once again welcome my dear guest, Dr. Mohamed Roshdy, Professor of Economics and our economic expert. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. And we are going to start immediately with the EU-Egypt summit. Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commissioner, along with 6 European leaders, were here in Egypt, and they had some talks with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, ending with witnessing the signing of many memoranda of understanding, and also the EU proposed a 7.4 billion US dollar financial and investment package for Egypt spanning from the year 2024 to 2027, starting with supporting Egypt's macro and socio-economic reforms. How do you see this as a first category or a first priority regarding these deals?
In my humble opinion, I believe that this is one of the most important partnerships, and let me say it's win-win situation for both parts. As you know, and our audience, if we are categorizing the European region versus the African region, you can realize easily that the pyramid of ages for the European countries nowadays, you can see that the majority, like 60 to 70% from the total population, is over 60 years. But it's totally different in Egypt, that you can find is that 60 to 70% from our population are youth. And this is actually, I believe, which is our main asset. When we are saying that 60 to 70% from our total population are youth, we have a solid asset. This is the manpower that a lot of countries are built based on the hand and support of their nation, especially the youth segment. Eventually, what I would like to highlight at this point, when I'm saying it's win-win situation, you can find easily that they are calling Egypt and African countries emerging market. And if you are a developed country like the European countries, and you have a lot of commodities, and you have advanced industries, a lot of things, where you can sell your products nowadays, you have to have a great market, a potential market like Egypt, to sell your products. Nowadays, it's win-win situation, because the European countries actually, what they did, they are supporting Egypt to have a way out, actually, to sell their products, and part of it, it's a responsibility to go, and especially Egypt, returning back to play its historical role in the Middle East. On other hand, you can find Egypt, it's win-win situation for them. Eventually, due to we have a lot of things and a lot of initiatives. As I told you and our audience, we are calling Egypt nowadays and the globe the emerging market and the potential economy. And it's not my opinion. It's a global thing.
This is the general issue, so we are going to go from the general to the specific. First, to talk about the importance of micro, medium, small, medium projects. I mean, of course, the mega projects are very important, but no economy can depend only on mega projects. To take into consideration that the strategic partnership between the public and private sectors, if it is really implemented on the ground in a proper manner, this means a lot. This means a leap in our economic development. With this and with these studies, the EU decided to have a hand in that. How do you see this as, I can call it this way, a confession from the EU that we are on the right direction and we stepped on the right path regarding giving the new entrepreneur, the new startups, this push?
Eventually, I would like to highlight on a general thing, which is the important role for SMEs, which is small and medium enterprises. To just elaborate to our audience in a simple way, what's SMEs and what's it's important eventually. SMEs, which is if you have, for example, if you have like your economy is built based on two major companies, for example, if one of them is defaulted, what will happen? We'll lose like 50% of our economy.
Yeah.
But part of the risk mitigation, they are calling it risk mitigation,
Yeah.
which is nowadays to mitigate the risk, we have to have a lot of companies. If one of them defaulted, what will happen? A new one will come and it will not affect the economy. And for that reason, to focus on SMEs is a crucial thing. This is the first part. In addition to it, which will reflect on the unemployment rate, it creates a lot of jobs. You can see easily that, as far as I recall, our unemployment rate it reached to 13.5% in 2013. Nowadays, it decreased to reach 7.
Drop to 7 something.
Yes,
7
7.4, 7.5, which is you can significantly find the enhancement. Why? Because our presidential leadership and the government, in addition to private sector, are working closely to support the SMEs, and you can find a lot of initiatives for SMEs, which is something crucial. And a lot of countries, we are not, to be honest with you and our audience, we are not inventing the wheel. We are taking the best practice. The best practice nowadays, you can see is
To start from where others ended, not to start from
Thank you.
scratch. This
Yeah.
is it. But here I want to focus, if you permit me, on those SMEs or the small and medium projects or enterprises in different fields, to invade new fields, renewable energy, to think out of the box, to innovate. You know, the word innovation now, it's the main idea, it's the main issue. And to have the support for those new innovative ideas, this is another side of the coin which we should focus on or shed more light on, if you permit me to do so.
Actually, your question is quite great. You are hitting a nerve. Let me call it you are hitting a nerve. You started with one of the most important things, which is innovation, in addition to the SMEs. Nowadays, you can, I would like to recall a quote for one of the famous philosopher, which is Heraclitus. The only constant in the life is a change. Nowadays, we are in a dynamic world. So, to start with entrepreneurs and startups, this is a great thing. You will find easily that we are building our economy in a solid way. Let me say it, to elaborate to our audience, actually, to facilitate things, you can see easily that the GDP structure consists of three main things. What they are: the agriculture part, the industrial part, and the service part. Which one is the highest added value? The service part. Why the service part? And the service part, by the way, including the service and the technology part.
Sure.
So, if you would like to have a great GDP growth nowadays, you have to work on the part of the service part. And this is what our government, with collaboration with the private sector, are working on. And this is aligned, when I told you that you are hitting a nerve, with our 2030 vision
Agenda.
to have a sustainable environment and sustainable economy. It's not matter just to have a green and to decrease our carbon footprint, as they are calling it nowadays. No, just to have also a sustainable financials. This is one of the most crucial things. So, to work and start with SMEs will be a crucial thing to mitigate the risk, creating jobs, decreasing the unemployment rate, and will positively have the highest added value, which is the innovation part, which is the government and the presidential leadership. They are giving a lot of facilitations, in addition to with collaboration with GAFI, General Authority for Financial. This
For
is
investment and
for
finance.
for investment and financial.
And this is also, if you permit me to interrupt here, to focus on the geographic location. I mean, if we are speaking about a province which enjoys to be a part of the 1.5 million federal reclamation, so it's agriculture. If it is in our west in El Dab'a, so it's in nuclear energy. If it is in Sharm el Sheikh or in South Sinai, so it's green hydrogen. If it is in the Suez Canal access, so it's maritime industry and logistics and maintenance of ships. I'm just giving examples. How do you see these issues as part and parcel of the studies which should be done on the ground to make sure that what we are going to implement is not far from our research? It's not ink on paper. It's things which we are going to implement and to guarantee that all of them are going to be stories of success.
To answer your question, actually, I would like to. I recalled something, and also it come to top of my mind. One of the most important quotes for one of the famous strategic planning science, which is called Henry Mansberg. Actually, it is easy to plan, but it is difficult to implement. The challenge of implementation. In terms of implementing this is a crucial thing. You can see it easily nowadays. If we turn it back historically, we have a lot of great plans. We have a lot of great plans. What's happened? What's happening? Actually, or what's happened? We are putting them on our office and we didn't implement. This is the new republic with the strategic vision of the presidential leadership and the prime minister and all sectors and the private sectors are working together to implement those things to have a sustainable economy. And this is one of the most important things. If you would like to have a solid economy and going fastly, this will be a crucial thing. In addition to working on a lot of aspects, as you said, thank you so much, at the agriculture part, this is one of the most important things.
Sure.
If you don't have your food, you will not own your decision.
Because
and this is part of the GDP.
Food security.
Thank you.
It's a national security issue.
Thank
Food
you.
is a national security issue. And simply, the EU leaders, they came here after so many studies were done on the ground. And Ursula von der Leyen herself said that the second pillar in this strategic partnership is on economic stability. We will support financially your reform efforts together with international partners. Elaborate.
I told you, it's a win-win situation. We have to
they knew and they followed up every single step we had taken on the ground. And because of that, they knew, as you've kindly mentioned, it's going to be a win-win situation when we do have this strategic partnership. True?
To be honest with you, we are calling it in a business way. We have, when you are putting your money, if you are an investor, when you are putting your money in an investment, what you are waiting for? You are waiting for the ROI, the return on investments. This is what they are doing, actually.
Long-term or short-term?
The
cycle here is very important because many would ask when I'm going to have my profits in my hands. And many economic experts are always repeating this: the capital of money is coward and it has no nationality. So
they are working on both things, short term, middle term, and long term. And what they are expecting to get the highest ROI, which is the long term. But for the short term, we are working to give a return, and this is based on a lot of things. When we are diversifying, as you said on your question, firstly, let me quote you, we are best utilizing our resources. We are working on some projects for the nuclear part. We are working for Suez Canal. We're having a lot of initiatives. We are facilitating and reclaiming a lot of lands and a lot of things. And the regulation, you can't...
Golden license.
Thank you.
The Higher Investment Council led or headed by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi himself. And to take into consideration that no more executives in offices. You would find Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli from now and then, whether inspecting new urban communities, going to visit many companies or industrial zones scattered all over Egypt right now, and to have this direct contact, these direct dialogues with all those people on duty to make sure that all obstacles on the way are going to be totally eliminated and no more bureaucracy. Because in my humble opinion, bureaucracy is part and parcel of corruption. It's not far from that, if you agree with me.
I totally agreed with you that for the first time, the government is doing what they are calling it open door policy, which is I'm everywhere. I will check what's going on, what is in this part. You can see easily they are visiting a lot of sites, Upper Egypt, and then after that Sinai, and a new planet opening actually in Zaid, and a lot of 6th of October, and a lot of things you can see easily at Alex. You can see Minya, Fayoum, a lot of sites, and this is which is important. We didn't see for a long time a lot of initiatives like that, and this is, by the way, this is reflected on a lot of things.
Sure.
You can see that one of the most important things to bring FDI, which is FDI, foreign direct investments. If I have money, and I would like to have a high return or ROI, as I said previously, what shall I do? I have to do my homework or my exercise,
Sure.
which is I have to do what they are calling it SWOT analysis. I would like to invert just letters to say it, TOS or TWAS analysis. Why I'm just inverting those, and a lot of science nowadays, they are adopting this, because from a threat, you will find the opportunity. From the weak points, you have to change it for strengths. For example, when we have a COVID, it's a threat. What's happened? Is there opportunity? There are always opportunity.
Changes versus challenges. And when President Sisi said it more than once in Arabic, from the crisis we take the blessing, because it's a little bit very much similar to each other in Arabic. من المحنة المنحة. From the crisis we take a blessing, or we are blessed with a blessing. This is it. Or I think
I believe it.
I think
I
this
believe
is what
this.
you're
This
talking
is what,
about.
by the way, this is what happened after the COVID-19 pandemic. What
Yeah.
happened? We are inverting our lifestyle is totally changed, and we can find digitalization, and a lot of things happened, and our life is quite easily, and you can find easily. I'm establishing my company, digitalized, and I have a virtual stores.
This is it, and this is going to take us to the third pillar on the agenda of the EU-Egyptian partnership. And this is what Ursula von der Leyen said herself. We already have our Southern Neighborhood Economic and Investment Plan in place. We can do much more, be it renewable energy, agricultural sector, water management, just to name few topics. And to this end, we will support the EU-Egypt Investment Conference in Cairo later this year. And also, there are many memoranda of understanding between Egypt and Greece, for example, between Egypt and Cyprus, for example, memorandum of understanding on all of this. So each country or each leader of a country who came here came with things in mind, with all the research done, with all the studies done, and knowing well that without Egypt, it cannot be implemented on the ground. And without Egypt, without this full coordination, cooperation between the north and the south of the Mediterranean, it's not going to go well for both, not only for one.
Without Egypt, nothing will not fly. In terms of the economic stability in the Middle East, globally, because we are returning back to our historical, in terms of the economic stability, political stability, a lot of things. So if we turn it back to this point, she is actually she described it in a good way, that we have to focus on a lot of mega projects and a lot of projects that positively will reflect on our economy, and the global will change. Because when you are saying that you can find easily that they are calling our economy like a tiger economy. Metaphorically, like why they are saying it like a tiger? Because when a tiger is going to take to a victim or something, he just slowly but surely and then speedily take his
Meaning
things.
that North Africa is going to resemble South Asia?
I believe
In a way.
In the middle term, it will happen, and it will happen easily, because this is what they are calling it. This is the cycle, the economic cycle,
Yeah.
like a product and service like cycle. When you have the introduction phase, and then you go for the growth phase, and when you are going to maturity phase, it will decline, and you can history is repeated actually.
Mobilizing investments to modernize the economy. I like the term, to modernize the economy. And here we are not talking only about technology or not automation, automation, digitalization, and taking into consideration that without AI, for example, we're not going to go. Competitiveness here is very fierce, and it's not a luxury anymore. It's something which it's a long journey, but the first steps is very important, and this is the most important issue right now. To take into consideration that importing technology is now a fact, and it's now something which cannot be missed or cannot be skipped like that. How do you see taking this into consideration into implementing those strategic elements in our partnership with the EU?
In my humble opinion, that the new era for the economy, which is a technological part, we have to count on it. Nowadays, we are not just offering or tailor just technological things or working on it. What we are going to do to have what they are calling it a tailor-made service for whatever from to the population, for everything, and we are counting on the technology or the AI part. We can see easily that there's a new term nowadays which is called the big data. What's big data? You can see easily when you are checking your mobile, if you are searching.
Secured big data.
Secured big data. I totally agree with you. Okay, because this is invading our privacy a little bit, but everything it has its pros and cons,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yeah.
Accordingly, what will count that what they are calling it the big data. What's big data? To simplify to our audience things. We are, if you are, for example, to simplify things, when you are searching, when you search for you would like to buy a car, you will find everything will appear to you. This car, the pricing, what, everything you are searching for it, related to the spare parts for a car, whatever. If you would like to go for a mobile, everything. Nowadays, the big data is trying to help the manufacturer to know consumer behavior, to have a tailor-made service or product for him or her. This is what we will like to count on, the artificial intelligence, the big data nowadays, and this is what they are calling it. This is important.
They're hiring psychologists for that, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, and no,
this is, by the way, they are calling it the soft power.
Yep,
I'm just
is.
taking what
Yes,
you
sure.
would like to have, and I'm just influencing you by this way.
Yeah, all the time I'm saying that computers are stupid. If you don't give them the right input, they're going to give you wrong outputs.
Thank
because
you.
it's us. But here I'm talking about what we call vocational training, if I may call it now vocational training. Because if I do have all these projects and I don't have the human cadre who can run this project, then it's in vain. How do you see the importance of taking into consideration that the qualified human cadres are even more important than the project itself?
Actually, I would like to highlight on the most important things. If you would like to build a country, you have to focus on two main things. What's the population,
first,
the human being. Okay, so the government and the presidential leadership actually have a strategic vision to invest on two main things: the educational part and the health part. For the health part, the government and the presidential leadership increased the health budget actually, and in terms of the education part, you can see easily that the government eventually is doing a great job to open universities, especially technical universities, in addition to
Technical schools too, and
technical universities
affiliated,
and
of course,
schools,
to some
yes.
of the big or the mega companies to make sure that this is corporate social responsibility. You should take care of
CSR.
that, CSR, and to make sure also that all those are going to be able to run or to manage other projects already implemented on the ground. So we do have generations. It's not only one generation as it was before, and we do have a gap between the generation who is running already the whole story and the one who is going to shoulder this responsibility. But because unfortunately we're running out of time, migration and mobility, one important issue which was discussed in this EU-Egyptian summit, I think the Europeans learned the lesson. Whenever there is economic struggles or problems or crises in the south of the Mediterranean, in addition to, of course, security issues and stuff like that, illegal migration rate is going to increase, and they are going to suffer on their shores with all those, whether who are dying already or asylum seekers who need everything. So when there is enhancing cooperation on migration management, combating human smuggling and trafficking, strengthening border controls, addressing illegal migration's root causes, and facilitating legal migration. How do you see this part?
This is a part of a win-win situation. This is one of the most important things. If you would
Sure.
like to have migrant to European countries, you would like to have skilled laborers, and this is one of the most important things to build the country eventually, and will help a lot of things. So they are investing in education, health part, and will positively, because when I started our episode, I told you and our audience that the pyramid of age in the European country, actually at the European countries, you can find that 60 to 70% of the European nations are over 60, but the youth segment is quite little bit, like it's 30% as far as I recall. Accordingly, in terms of Egypt or the African countries, you can find the pyramid is totally inverted. So this is one of the most important things. If you would like to migrate to European country, you have to migrate in a legal way, and you have to be skilled, and you have to get the required score. So when I'm investing, I am getting the ROI, and this is what they are calling it indirect ROI. Because when we have the manpower, and they have the manpower, they will continue, and they have sustainability to produce and to increase their market share. And you can see this is easily. And all of things that happen, you can find easily reflected on what they are calling it the competitiveness report.
Yes.
To turn back,
Sustainability report.
sustainability and the competitiveness
Yeah.
report. As I started our episode today saying that every country is going to or seeking FDI, foreign direct investment. When if I'm an investor, what I would like to check when I'm entering any country, I have to check if I can return back my profit. This is one of the most important things. If this market is potential or not, I have facilities, the legislation is supporting me or not, if I have a tax incentive or not,
Incentive.
tax incentive. And
Incentives in general.
and I would like to highlight one of the most important and smartest, in my humble opinion, things that the government did to provide tax incentive for a lot of multinational companies. They will provide them tax incentive or tax waiver in terms of if 50% of their products have Egyptian ingredients or Egyptian components. So it's a win-win situation. You have 50% from from the local market and 50% from the foreign market. Accordingly, you are creating a lot of jobs actually.
And because of that, the president said it more than once: no more exporting raw materials,
Yes.
whether it is manufactured or it's going to be industrialized here and to meet the local market needs and then to be exported. And I remember well when he was, I think he was inaugurating fertilizers complex in Al Ain al and he said no more phosphate exports, fertilizers. And you can implement that on every single thing, whether it's cotton, whether it's phosphate, whatever it is. But here also, I'd like to focus on something. We all know, and the president himself said it more than once, and especially in his very open speech to the cadets in the police academy, which took place only a few days ago, and he spoke about the devaluation of the Egyptian pound and the reform packages. It's painful, it's difficult, but it ended, or at least it attracted investors, it attracted more mega projects coming from outside, it attracted an EU partnership like that. How do you see this as a banker?
I believe this is one of the most important things, but I would like to metaphorically to say it like if you have a pain, what you will go for it? To take the appropriate medication or to have a painkiller? Which is the right approach? I changed the place or changed that, and I'm asking you, what you will try, what you will choose, to have the painkiller or to have a solution?
A permanent solution.
Thank you.
But it's a little bit, whether it's going to be a pill or a surgery, which is which, and the timing of doing so. And this is exactly the very thin line on which, unfortunately, we are trying to move on. In my humble opinion, of course.
For sure. It's important thing to identify where we stand. Accordingly, to take the right action or the right decision. When we are going for this thing, we are doing it in a proper way. The most important, to be honest with you and our audience, and we have an open discussion actually, and this is one of the most important things that for a long time we didn't have just this discussion, free discussion and open discussion, and we are fingering
pointing
and fingering point to our pain. Accordingly, if we would like to highlight this thing, we can find easily that the most important thing nowadays that we are taking the precautions to change our economy and keeping the most important and affected people, which is the low income people and or low income or middle income people, mainly the low income, they affected, to be honest with you and our audience. But at the same time, the government and the presidential leadership, they did a lot of initiatives like the Kafir and the Karama. They are supporting
Decent Life Initiative and all. And
the
there are
thing I would like to highlight that for the first time, those initiatives help to let the subsidy go for the one who deserve it. And this is what we have to do to best
and
utilize
to
our resources.
Optimistic for a future?
Quite sure. I'm always optimistic.
We are also optimistic, but with work. The promise of the president is that whenever we are going to continue with working hard and exerting the utmost efforts to develop ourselves and to modernize our society, then this is the right direction. Well, I really enjoyed our discussion, sir.
Me too. Thank you so much.
We were very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio Dr. Mohamed Roshdy, Professor of Economics and our economic expert. Thank you, sir, and happy Ramadan.
Happy Ramadan to you and our audience.
By this, we come to the end of this episode of Money Means Business. Till we meet again same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. I'm going to leave you now with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Until we meet again, many thanks for watching. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.